Hi, this is Curt and welcome to another edition of Fire Law Roundup.
Okay, last one, also in New York. Now we're at the FDNY. I'm a little surprised at, well, I'll tell you what I'm surprised at in a minute. Let me give you the facts. So we have an FDNY EMT. She was being harassed, touched, inappropriately talked to by an EMS chief. FDNY does what it's supposed to do, investigates, all right? Even tells that chief, you may not retaliate as a result of this complaint, you may not retaliate against her. The FDNY takes appropriate action against him, I would say, but nonetheless, he is still permitted to retaliate. Permitted, I don't mean authorized to. He was specifically told you may not retaliate, as any good employer would, but then he is retaliating against her, and so she now sues. The interesting part, and she says basically that the FDNY failed to take prompt and appropriate remedial action to protect or correct further discrimination, right, or harassment, which is retaliation. And she basically says, I'm under increased scrutiny. You know, let's stop here for a second. The problem is, once you have been found by your employer to have sexually harassed somebody, anytime you try to discipline them for anything legitimate, it's over, right? It's going to come back as harassment. There's no way, especially in a big organization, that he should ever have direct or even indirect contact with her again, right? I mean, that's the problem. You can't, everything you do is suspect from that point forward. Even if it's legit, she's going to file a claim no matter what. And I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm just saying, as a general matter, your supervisor harasses somebody, he can't supervise her anymore. Now, if he didn't really harass her, it's different. But here's the interesting thing. In New York, at least, who has some of the most strongest sexual harassment, sexual discrimination laws in the country, and I'm not understating that, we probably have the strongest laws protecting the victims. But once a supervisor harasses you, especially a chief officer, this is EMS chief officer, once he is found to harass you, FDNY, the employer loses you. Loses the case, sorry. In any job, when your supervisor, whether it be a lieutenant up to a chief, is the one doing the harassing, the employer is imputed with the knowledge of the harassment because it's a supervisor doing it. They don't have to report it. They don't have to complain about it. You lose the moment a supervisory personnel harasses the employee. So I'm surprised, and you've got to give the woman credit if I'm correct. She could have filed a suit back then. It doesn't appear that she did so, right? So buying her a lot of credibility. She could have won against the FDNY just based on the chief's harassment. Now it took alleged retaliation to get her to file a suit. Now that could be for a lot of reasons. Maybe she missed a deadline. Maybe she just didn't want to sue her employer. She was happy with the respect she got. But at this point, she's now suing, saying he's retaliating, and that's enough. But I think this case is more useful for those points. Your supervisor harasses you. How can he supervise you again? And two, you don't need the further step of a retaliation to be able to sue. Once he's harassed you, it's over. But this is worse if true.